Either we heal as a team, or we're going to crumble. Inch by inch, play by play, till we're finished. We're in hell right now, gentlemen, believe me. And we can stay here, get the shit kicked out of us, or we can fight our way back into the light. We can climb out of hell. 1 inch at a time. You know, when you get old in life, things get taken from you. I mean, that's part of life. But you only learn that when you start losing stuff. You find out life's this game of inches. So is football. Because in either game, life or football, the margin for error is so small. I mean, 1/2 a step too late or too early, and you don't quite make it. 1/2 second too slow, too fast, you don't quite catch it. The inches we need are everywhere around us. They're in every break of the game, every minute, every second. On this team, we fight for that inch. On this team, we tear ourselves and everyone else around us to pieces for that inch. We claw out fingernails for that inch. Because we know when we add up all those inches, that's going to make the fucking difference between winning and losing. Between living and dying. I'll tell you this, in any fight, it's the guy who's willing to die who's going to win that inch. And I know if I'm going to have any life anymore, it's because I'm still willing to fight and die for that inch. Because that's what living is. There's 6 inches in front of your face. Now, I can't make you do it. You got to look at the guy next to you. Look into his eyes. Now, I think you're going to see a guy who will go that inch with you. You're going to see a guy who will sacrifice himself for this team because he knows when it comes down to it, you're going to do the same for him. That's a team, gentlemen. And either we heal now as a team, or we will die as individuals.
Ideas are bulletproof.
Welcome to the show. This is Down the Rabbit Hole. I'm your host, Popeye, from federaljack.com. Today's June 15th, 2011. This is the Wednesday edition of Down the Rabbit Hole. It's been a pretty busy week, and things just keep getting crazier and crazier. New World Order seems to be ramping up their agenda, putting things at an ever faster pace every day. They keep just, more and more bills being introduced, into the House and into the Senate to curb our civil rights and, destroy the internet. They're trying to make embedding a YouTube video a felony, and anybody that's associated with the website that posts the video can get up to 5 years in prison. I mean, it's just ridiculous. There's no reason beyond control, shutting down the internet, and destroying alternative media. There's no other reason for it. None. There's no other explanation for it. There's no good reason to shut the internet down. To protect children, to protect copyright stuff. Yeah, please. Everything is copyrighted on YouTube now. The only reason why you can listen to certain music videos and stuff, I'm willing to bet I would say at least 96% of the videos on YouTube are all sponsored by corporate, sponsors. And that's why they're allowed up, because it's, I think, what's it called, Evo or something like that, is the one channel, and they have tons and tons of videos up, even stuff dating back, 15, 20 years ago. So everything's been copyrighted on YouTube now. So when these, when these guys come on and cry and say, oh, I'm losing money, like Lars Ulrich with Metallica. Those guys are the ones that started it with going after Napster. This was the slippery slope towards the police state. They don't like the fact that information is free and open to anyone on the internet. So they meaning the New World Order and these paid off officials in certain positions in government, go after it. And Obama, him and his administration certainly don't want the internet open and free. They're a contradiction. They're a perfect example of what Orwellian doublespeak is. At one side of their mouth, they say that all these people on the internet should have free access to the internet, and we're running around funding Libyan rebels that are cutting people's heads off, and we're making a shadow internet for them. And yet, the open, free internet here in the United States is being taken away from us at the very same time. All the while you have people like Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama going on TV and doing speeches about how an open, free society is important and that a free internet to these people is important and that all these dictators should give their people a free internet. And then at the other side of their mouth, they're talking about how people here in the United States need to have their internet curtailed because it's dangerous and, children could get hurt. You know what? You don't want your kids seeing some screwed up stuff on the internet? Then pay attention to what your kid's doing. That's how you handle that. My mother, as she worked and then she was going to school part-time at night, a couple days a week. And I got to tell you, between her and my father, and my father and mother were divorced, he didn't even live with us. The two of them knew what was up. They knew. If I did something wrong, somehow they had this magic power. They knew. My mother used to call not call me up. My mother, this is back when pagers first came out. My mother would beat me, and I would call her up from a payphone and be like, yes. And she'd be like, I don't know, but whatever it is, don't do it, because I know it's good. Now, my mother knew what I was capable of. Something happened. One of these kids, that's not my Johnny. He wouldn't do that. They're called the not my Johnny parents. Well, no, my mother wasn't like that. In fact, she was the exact opposite. She used to be praying that I wasn't involved. Okay? So she was a realist. She knew I could get into trouble. She knew what kids could do. She knew what teenage boys, do. And nowadays, parents don't care about their kids. They plop them down in front of the television or they give them a cell phone. Over the past couple of days, I've talked to a few people about this, and they all agree that it's just incredible how kids nowadays are not like they were when we were children. There's a vast difference. And I'm in my mid-30s. So I'm not like it's not like I'm 50, 60 years old, and this was, so long ago. Within the past, even when I was a teenager, kids were still running around, So within the past, 15, 20 years, these kids have really stopped just being kids. They don't talk to each other anymore. They'll be standing next to each other, and they send each other text messages. They're always on the phone with the cell phone glued to their head. You'd think the parents would pay attention, the fact that the World Health Organization just admitted that cell phones cause cancer. But hey, let's not pay attention to that. As long as I don't have to pay attention to my kid and actually, be a parent, then that's all they care about. That's the attitude they have. I don't want to pay attention to my kid. I'd rather plop him in front of, a DVD player and let him watch Barney. So the TV is what's educating your child, not you. And that's why when they turn out to be teenagers, they don't have any respect for their elders. They don't have any respect for their parents. See, respect for elders and other people comes from respect for your elders and your brothers and your sisters and your family members. All that stuff comes from home. Hence the reason why there's the war on the family by the New World Order through agencies like CPS. They're trying to destroy the family. Even Nick Rockefeller, go look up the interview where he talked to Aaron Russo. Aaron Russo talks about when they talked. It's an interview with Russo, and he talks about his conversation with Nick Rockefeller. And Nick Rockefeller even admitted to him that they funded and backed the women's liberation, all these different groups, Gloria Steinem and all them. That was all CIA and Rockefeller funded and controlled, because the whole idea was to break up the family unit. It did serve two purposes. One, it got more women out there to work, so now they weren't just taxing the men. Now they were getting double tax revenue because now women were getting taxed. And then on top of it, it also destroyed the family. Mom and dad were both working now. Now kids were coming home. They're being called latchkey kids, no parents at home. Both mom and dad work, or mom and dad are divorced, and now they both have to work. It's destruction of the family. The family unit is where the kid learns his values, his morals, everything. That's where we learn everything as children. That is why it's under attack. Going to break. We'll be right back. Down the rabbit hole. You're listening to the Orion Talk Radio Network. Go check out our Facebook fan page. Give it a thumbs up.
The reasons for the cover-up, the reasons for the censorship. Now I realize that Uncle Sam was not befriending me. He was only using me to be friends with the enemy. A presidential terrorist. Ain't that a contradiction? I guess it goes to show the truth is stranger than fiction. But they don't even show the truth when soldiers are missing. I'm only trying to show...
Nope. None of us can take it anymore. Everybody's pissed all across the world. You guys have paid attention to the Greek protests, but the citizens of Greece decided to let their government know they were not going to take the austerity measures and another bailout and IMF slavery. And they've been having, you could pretty much call them riots over there. I mean, they're laying down tear gas and everything else. And apparently the prime minister of Greece has now, he's dissolving his cabinet, getting rid of most of the people that work for him, I'm assuming, if not all of them, and reforming a new government. So it's amazing what happens when you get 30 to 40,000 pissed off people. People were hurt. I'm not sure if anybody was killed. I'm sure at least one or two people were probably killed. It always happens. And not that it's a good thing, but that's what happens. Things get out of control and somebody gets hurt. And unfortunately, these governments in the New World Order, they push things to that extent for a reason. They know these people, it's like playing chess to them. They think, in terms of 30 to 40 years ahead. They're not going to let, they think about contingency plans and everything else. They're not going to let something, come along and just a monkey, come along and have a monkey wrench thrown into the works, as it were. They're not like that. In other news, we have the war triplets, Lindsey Williams, John McCain, and Joe Lieberman. All chicken hawks. Well, I guess McCain is a vet, but he's still a scumbag. He's not really as a veteran and knowing what I know about McCain, he's a turd. There are POWs that he sold out. You can go look it up. There's plenty veterans that'll tell you all about John McCain. He's a real piece of crap. His father was involved in the cover-up of the USS Liberty. Just real turd. I mean, most people realize by now McCain's just a shill and he's a total scumbag. But him, Lindsey Williams, and Joe Lieberman, the war twins, the war triplets, they're all pushing for Syria to be bombed now. Lindsey Graham says, or not Lindsey Williams, listen to me. I keep saying Lindsey Williams as in my head is not on tonight. It's Lindsey Graham, not Lindsey Williams. Lindsey Williams is the old man that calls up Jeff French and Alex Jones and all them. Senator Lindsey Graham. My bad. I take that back. Anyway, you got Lindsey Graham, John McCain, and Joe Lieberman. And the three of them, the war triplets, they push for Libya. We should stay in Iraq. We should, stay in Afghanistan. We should, go ahead and we should bomb the hell out of Yemen. We should keep bombing Pakistan. Well, now they want us to bomb Syria because of everything that's going on there. And they're saying that, hey, we did it in Libya, so we should step in and Syria, which the best help we could give them is to stay out of it. But apparently Graham thinks that we should go in there and nothing is off the table militarily. Of course we wouldn't bring troops in there. Right. That's why we have helicopter gunships strafing Libya. So when one of those gunships that could hover 15 feet off the ground crashes, now technically you are on the ground and then you have boots on the ground. So this very slippery slope. Very slippery slope. What else do we have today in the news? Let's see. Oh, Wow, this is super important. More news about Anthony Weiner's wiener. Apparently, everybody's, riding him and saying, well, Weiner, you should step down. You got all these Democrats riding him. Weiner, you should leave Obama. Weiner, you should get out. Indecency, you're just making us look bad. This coming from the guy that got oral sex performed on him in a limo while smoking crack. Yeah, I'm talking about Barack Obama. You should go look up a news conference from 2008. I forget the guy's name now, too. Oh, I'll have to look it up during the break. And actually, I could probably find it before that. Let me see if I can find it while I'm talking to you guys. But, yeah, he got accused. The guy did a press conference back in 2008. It was even on C-SPAN. I have the video up on YouTube. But he didn't get much play. I know he got his life threatened, so he was in hiding. I have to find his name now for you. I'm looking it up. But, yeah, he came out and said it. And you think anybody would pick it up? Of course not, because Obama's the, what do you call it? Larry Sinclair is the guy's name. Larry Sinclair. And a lot of people attacked him back in the day, but now he's got more than enough proof and evidence. He backs up people that have been killed. He talks about certain people that have been killed that had witnessed, Obama's proclivity for men, and they're dead, of course, just like the Clintons. There's probably got to be like 50 or 60 people at least on their death list. Go look up Google or go on YouTube, the Clintons' dead friends. I swear you'll spend 2 or 3 hours alone just going through the list and seeing the relationships they had to the Clintons. Anyway, all these people are getting all over Anthony Weiner. Oh, you should leave, like anybody in Congress really has the room to talk. Those in glass houses should not throw stones. But so they want Weiner to step down because he sent, pictures of his Johnson and all this, right? What about Barney Frank? I mean, he got caught running a gay brothel right out of his house, and, he really didn't have any problems. Oh, that's right, because he threatened, when they were screwing with him, he threatened to out other members of Congress, so they just shut their mouths. You see how the game is played? Okay, so it's okay because Weiner got caught sending photos of his junk to some girl, and does that surprise you? Like, we're going to chastise this guy for cheating on his wife? We justify, we still think we're justified in killing over 1.5 million innocent Iraqi people, let alone all the people in Pakistan and all these other countries, Afghanistan, that we've, and I'm not talking about the guys that, attack our soldiers. And technically you can include them in there because they did a poll a couple months ago, I think it was like 6-8 months ago, of the fighting age men in Afghanistan, and something like 98% of them, you can Google this, 98% of them didn't have any clue as to what September 11th was. So all they know is there's a foreign occupier in their country, and they're stepping up to the plate. And I think anybody in this country would do the same thing. Let's not judge every. See, the problem is people in this country are so arrogant that we judge every other culture based on our culture. Well, I wouldn't do that. Well, we've never done that. That's disgusting. That's ignorant. No, we're ignorant. We're a very sheltered society, and Americans as a whole are ignorant. And the rest of the world laughs at us for our ignorance. We used to be looked up to, and now we're looked at like the idiot schoolyard bully that picks his nose when nobody's looking. That's how people think of America around the world. So thanks neocons, thanks neoliberals, thanks New World Order, thanks Obama, thanks Bush, Karl Rove, Dick Cheney, and all these other evil people back. And it hasn't just been the past 10 years, but it's been ramped up in the past 10 years. And we've really, really, really gone down the crapper, and we need to come back from it. What about the Franklin cover-up? What about all these young boys from Boys Town being shipped in for sex with all these Republicans? And it came out in the 80s, and it was linked to George Bush Sr. and Ronald Reagan. But hey, let's not worry about that stuff. These guys are pedophiles. Let's not worry about these people. Let's bust on Anthony Weiner because he took photos of his junk and sent it to some young girl. You know what? I really don't care if Weiner's trying to get laid, to be honest with you. If he's doing his job that's all that matters. But he's not. He's a turd. I personally, I don't like him because of his politics, and he really pushes the whole left-right thing. And I'll give him credit for fighting for the first responders, but that's about it. Most of the other stuff Weiner does is, in my eyes, pretty useless. We're going to break, guys. When we come back, I'll finish up the news. Hopefully I can find something a little more interesting than Weiner's Wiener for you. We'll be right back. Hey, it's Popeye from FederalJack.com. Don't miss my show, Down the Rabbit Hole, Wednesday and Friday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern on the Orion Talk Radio Network. Welcome back to this Wednesday, June 15th, 2011 edition of Down the Rabbit Hole. I am your host, Popeye from FederalJack.com. And the news just keeps on getting better. And I actually don't mean that sarcastically. I actually mean the news actually gets a little better. A federal judge ruled that a Las Vegas firm can't sue over copyright infringement. Some of you may be familiar with Righthaven. They are the corporation that was going after not only Brian from USWGO, but probably, I think the case had something like 220. You read the rest of the article, it says something like between 2 and 220 different cases, so different bloggers, and they go after people. They use a photo. They own a I don't know if it's a newspaper or if it's just like an online newspaper, but it's called the Las Vegas Review Journal. They are actually responsible for copyright strikes that I have on a couple of my YouTube accounts, and I'm actually interested to see. I should. That actually makes me think of something on air right now, live. I should go back and try to appeal those now, because now that the federal judges ruled in favor of us. But anyway, the federal judge told Righthaven they can't sue people and all that other stuff. That it's BS, and they got to knock the crap off. And of course, I'm sure Righthaven will probably just ignore it like they normally do, and then the judge will have to somebody will have to either complain or the judge will have to get pissed off and do something about it. But at least there's a federal ruling against these scumbags. So go look it up. You can find it on FederalJack.com. Federal judge rules Las Vegas firm can't sue over copyright infringement. So one piece of good news. Now for some bad news. But the truth needs to get out there. So if you go to Federal Jack, Susan Lindauer, who is a CIA whistleblower. She used to work, she was a CIA asset who covered Libya and Iraq at the United Nations. She has come out about 9/11 before. She got sent to Gitmo because she was a whistleblower. She spent time in prison. So she comes out and she writes for Veterans Today, and she writes for a few other people. And Susan wrote me an email and told me some disturbing information that she had uncovered from Libya. So she asked us if she could write an article for us, and of course I was sure. Susan Lindauer, I was kind of honored to have her write an article. You can find the article right on under the featured story section on FederalJack.com. It's called "The Ugly Truth: Libyan Rebel Beheads Gaddafi Soldier and Other War Crimes." Now I warn you, there are 2 videos embedded on the page. If you have a weak stomach, if you don't want to have nightmares for the next week, and I'm not kidding, this isn't like a challenge to be manly. I'm serious. I've seen dead bodies in my life. I've seen headless bodies. I was a firefighter for 6 years. I was in the United States Coast Guard for 2 years, and I actually did towing and recovery work. Like accidents and bad accidents on and off for about 10 years. So I've seen body parts. I've seen torn body bodies torn apart on the side of a highway, people blown up, people with no heads. I got to tell you, the videos disturbed me, and it took me a couple days to get the images out of my head. So from someone who's seen some really disturbing things in his life, take it from me that they're really disturbing. So if you are by any means squeamish or you don't want to have nightmares or anything, don't watch them. If you have children, make them leave the room and close the door. And I suggest, again, I'm going to, or I'll give you a warning, rather. It's very, very graphic material. But there's an article to go along with it. Susan describes kind of what you see in the video a little bit. And she tells you about some future videos that she's working on getting uploaded and everything. And then she's going to get me the code and stuff for. But she contributed all this information. She dug it up. She's a reliable source. And it's just very disturbing to see the war crimes that our military is backing. And I did a special note, like a warning at the top, explaining how it's graphic. But I also, put a note in there that beheading shouldn't be a surprise, considering we are backing the same people we fought in Iraq, and there were a lot of quote-unquote beheadings in Iraq. Well, the CIA was behind a lot of the beheadings in Iraq, meaning that the guys that did them were CIA assets, okay? And it was done to further cause civil war. It was done to scare. It was done as a fear thing. It was multiple different beheadings served different purposes, but they all had at least 2 or 3 stated outcomes that they wanted, and they served all the purpose. So it's not really a surprise that the CIA, who controls the rebels that are over there now all of a sudden these rebels are beheading people. I mean, there's war crimes going on. This kind of stuff has been coming out of Libya for weeks, but our mainstream media doesn't pick it up, and the European media really doesn't pick it up. Once in a while you'll hear talk about it, but it's hard to get this stuff out. Now, the videos were shot by people inside of Libya, Libyans inside of Libya. So you can see for yourself if you have the stomach. And I suggest, seriously, you take about 5-10 minutes to think about it before you just click on the videos. And you'll never hear me say that about an article on my website. And I'm not bashing Susan. I'm not bashing my article, I'm not bashing the article on my site, rather. But I'm not. I want you to seriously contemplate, because this is something that will probably stick with you for the rest of your life. So I have to at least give you the warning for it. Go check it out if you want. If you don't, again, you don't have to watch the video. You can always read the article. It's pretty descriptive. It's called The Ugly Truth: Libyan Rebel Beheads Gaddafi Soldier and Other War Crimes. I also suggest, if you want to educate yourself, go to the Truth Movie section. If you go to federaljack.com, right in the front, scroll down, on the right-hand side below the spinning globe, you will see a widget that says full-length Truth Movies. It's a black and white television with green writing that says "Free Your Mind" on it. Click on it. It's got a ton of videos. A ton of videos. You could probably spend 6 months on there educating yourself. So go ahead and check it out. And we had a caller call in. It was my fault. I didn't notice I missed. So go ahead, caller, if you want, call back, and I'll pick up the I'll answer. So go ahead and call back. But go to my site and go check out the Truth Movie section. In fact, do me a favor. Spread the link to everybody you know, because it would make my job much easier. And it makes your job easier, too. That's why I made the section, because now you can just take that link and say to somebody, hey, look, you want to learn? You're always asking me, well, how do you know about this or how do you know about that? Take the link, post it, on their Facebook or email it to them, whatever. They click on it. There's tons of movies, and they click on each title, and it'll bring up the player in a separate tab, and then they can watch it. If you have Real Player, go to Real.com, download Real Player, and rip every one of them before the internet disappears. Take everything. Go to all my YouTube channels. I'll be creating number 6 soon, because I just got a copyright strike, by the way, the other day on Federal JackTube 5. So I will be making number 6 very soon. I just don't have enough time. That's the other thing. I'm looking for a motivated individual to be sort of an assistant. It's on a voluntary basis. You're not going to get paid anything, but I need someone that can, maybe donate like an hour of their time or maybe 2 hours of their time during the course of a day just to assist me. So if you're interested and you're serious, and I don't want idiots, but if you're interested, you can email me at vfor911@gmail.com. That's vfor911@gmail.com. And send in, you can also email me about if you have stories, articles, anything that you feel, email it in. Anything important. If you have videos you want me to copy and put up on my YouTube channels, send me the links. But don't send me links to other people's videos and say copy them, because I don't, I'd rather go to the person directly. So if you have your own videos and you want them uploaded to a YouTube channel or something, feel free. Email me. Again, vfor911@gmail.com. We'll be right back. This is Down the Rabbit Hole. I'm your host, Popeye. You're listening to the Orion Talk Radio Network.
Stand up and say 9/11 was an inside job. They lie, they scam, they cheat and steal. They plot, they fund, they act, it's real. They watch, they hunt, they punish, it's high power. But actions speak louder, pretend to be free. Till you die a slave, a soldier in the desert searching for a ghost in the cave. With a corporation, I run out of patience. Sick of seeing troops sink to die for your lives. Spending dollars in debt, we holler in protest till we have your arrest.
Welcome back to the final segment of this Wednesday edition, Down the Rabbit Hole, June 15th, 2011. Crazy news. Just, as I said in the beginning, the New World Order is just ramping it up. But I gotta say, this year, the coverage of Bilderberg was a little encouraging to see more people standing up, doing the right thing. I was rather impressed. There's actually a guy from WPIX in New York that actually, his name's Lionel. He did an actual 2.5-minute piece on the Bilderberg group and actually gave factual information out. I nearly fell out of my desk chair when I saw it. I couldn't believe my eyes that I actually saw a real news piece on the news for the first time in, I don't know, probably about 20 years. I just couldn't believe it. It was impressive. And yes, most of the mainstream media, of course, they ignored it. And if the ones that did cover it, they made fun of people and called everybody conspiracy theorists. And there's nothing wrong with them. But see, that's a win, because 5 years ago, not even 5 years ago, they didn't even want to admit that they existed. Now they're being forced to admit that they exist. So we're winning, guys. The alternative media is winning. We're going to kick their butts. It's just taking forever, but we will win. Very stressful to deal with all this. In fact, that's a good way to deal with it. I want everybody to sit back right now. I just thought of this. Sit down, relax for 5 seconds, take a deep breath in, hold it in for a couple seconds, and release. And when you release, let go of all the negative energy. Just say, try to let it go. That's how I deal with it. It's the only way. That and a little bit of humor. Otherwise, the stuff that we research and talk about would just probably drive some of us into the madhouse. I know many people, some people it bothers them. Some researchers have even, backed off, and downsized their research after a while because it just gets to them. And I completely understand 110%. It's a pretty brutal thing to see the truth. Like I said before about the Franklin cover-up, that's pretty brutal. I mean, who wants to admit that our congressmen were partaking in something as evil as that? And if you don't know what the Franklin cover-up is, go on YouTube and type in the Franklin cover-up. I don't think it was, I want to say, I don't think it was the BBC. It could have been the BBC. But there was, when you look at the beginning of the video, it tells you what network it was. but they had done this huge piece about it. Maybe it was CBS, but they had done this huge piece about it. And the night it went to air, the reporters that worked for them, and they aired it. It aired once. They freaked out. It was pulled from television, and the Secret Service went around and bought up every copy that was on VHS back then. And luckily, somebody smuggled one copy out, and a couple years later, it popped up on the internet, and then people have been ripping copies ever since. But I suggest you take the time and go watch the movie. It's called The Franklin Cover-Up. There's even a book you can go read. It's just the most disgusting, disturbing things. If the video that I was telling you about, this is, that's graphic and gory, but this is up on the scale of evil with that. It's just, it's different. It's not someone getting beheaded. It's little kids being pimped out and molested and raped, and God knows what else was done to these kids by members of our government, mostly Republicans. And, I mean, there were a few Democrats, but it was mostly Republicans. And, these people, again, it goes back to Barney Frank getting caught with running a brothel out of his house. And yet, that's okay. He's not made to resign. He's still in power today. He's part of the New World Order. He's part of the problem. I don't think Barney Frank sits at Bilderberg meetings. No, he just does what he's told. That's the problem. They get dirt on people like him, and then they take that dirt and they blackmail them with it for the rest of their lives, or at least their political careers. Once they retire, then it's hard to go after these guys, and because they fade away. Once they're retired, that's it. You never hear about them. One session of Congress, the person's very loud and boisterous, and it could be his last session. He retires, and 6 months later, you don't hardly hear about him. Maybe he comes out with a book or something once in a while, but that's it. They fade away. They never say anything as their final speech. They never say, yeah, this person's bad, or we shouldn't do this, or you don't hear that. They just fade away, and somebody else replaces them and usually picks up right where they left off. So as long as they're in some sort of political power, these people get blackmailed. Ronald Reagan, they used to call him Rainbow Ronnie because they secretly videotaped him in compromising positions with young men and young women. He liked to, without being too graphic, he liked to be the receiver even if it was a female, so you could figure that one out on your own. And they videotaped this kind of things. And I'm not picking on him, whatever kink he's into, that's his own thing. The point is, they videotaped it, or at the time, I think it might have been like 8mm, and they had still shots of it, and they used it to blackmail him, throughout his political career. Same thing with most of these congressmen and women. Janet Reno, you should look how the Miami drug dealers controlled her back in the day, because she used to be a prosecutor down here. She was the district attorney, and they had video of her doing coke in the back of a limo with an underage girl, all coked out of her head and drinking, and they had video and pictures, and that's how the drug cartels kept her in line when she was down here. That's how they kept her from really causing any damage to their organizations. FBI, J. Edgar Hoover, Mafia, he went into Congress and said that they don't exist. There is no such thing as organized crime or the Mafia. You know why he said that? Because they had pictures of him with, Hoover was gay. And I forget the guy's name. He was like his close assistant. He worked in the FBI. Him and Hoover were a couple or partners or whatever. And again, I'm not ragging on it, but the Mafia found out, took photos of it, and they used it to blackmail him. And they said, if you don't want your career ruined and everybody to find out that you're homosexual, then you better say the Mafia doesn't exist. And that's exactly what he did. He went in front of Congress and said the Mafia doesn't exist. That's how this country is run, by people with the same moral ethics that you would see in The Sopranos. Those are the people. And they do the same dirty things. And they have, I'm sure without a doubt, they have blackmail stuff on Obama. And they're just waiting. That's why he does what he's told. He wants to, he wants to reach a certain political point in his life, so he wants to, I was president, I was this, I was that. So in order for him to achieve some of these goals, he has to do what he's told to do. And we all know what happens if he doesn't. I'm sure that whenever a new president is elected, he gets into office, they bring him into a room. Bill Hicks said this. They bring him into a room and they show him a never-before-seen view, video from a never-before-seen angle of the Kennedy assassination. And they don't say anything. They just let it play out, and then the lights come back up and they say, any questions? That's probably pretty much how they do it. That's probably pretty much, and I'm sure it sometimes might be more subtle. But again, they choose people, they put these people in power that they have blackmail power over, so that if one of these people turns around and says, I'm going to do the right thing, I'm the president, it's easier to character assassinate nowadays than it is to assassinate. 40 years ago, they pulled off Kennedy's assassination, and people are still asking questions to this day. I really think they learned from that. So I doubt that maybe they will, but I doubt they would do another assassination openly like that. Now they do character assassination. Look at all the time and money and effort that was spent going after Bill Clinton because of stupid things like, getting some oral sex from one of his little underlings when he was the president, when they should have been concerned about all the people that he killed, about all the cocaine that was imported into this country when he was the governor of Arkansas through MENA. But let's not worry about that. Let's worry about him getting oral sex from some dumb bimbo in the White House. I don't care if the president gets laid or whatever. Do you? I don't. I really don't care about any of that crap. I care about him allowing drugs to come into this country. I care about false flag terrorism like Oklahoma City. That's the kind of things that they should have focused on. By the way, people, somebody that was involved in Waco at the time, a very evil man, Mr. Eric Holder, he was involved in the Waco cover-up. He's our Attorney General today under Obama. So don't think that these people are any different or that we have new people in there, because we certainly do not. They're all the same. When you get a chance, take some time, go look up Waco, go look up Ruby Ridge, look what they did. You'll notice that they had the same sniper at Ruby Ridge that they had at Waco. If I remember correctly, his name was Len Horiochi, something to that effect. Go check it out. He's the guy that shot Vicki Weaver in her forehead while she was holding her baby. He also shot innocent people at Waco. These are the kind of scumbags we have working for our government. They're in control right now, and we have to get rid of them. They are a den of vipers, and we need to rouse them out. This is Popeye. I'm your host of Down the Rabbit Hole. Go check out my website, federaljack.com. I'll see you on Friday. Putting things at an ever faster pace every day. They keep just, more and more bills being introduced, into the House and into the Senate to curb our civil rights and, destroy the internet. They're trying to make embedding a YouTube video a felony, and anybody that's associated with the website that posts the video can get up to 5 years in prison. I mean, it's just ridiculous. There's no reason beyond control, shutting down the internet, and destroying alternative media. There's no other reason for it. None. There's no other explanation for it. There's no good reason to shut the internet down. To protect children, to protect copyright stuff. Yeah, please. Everything is copyrighted on YouTube now. The only reason why you can listen to certain music videos and stuff, I'm willing to bet I would say at least 96% of the videos on YouTube are all sponsored by corporate, sponsors. And that's why they're allowed up, because it's, I think, what's it called, Evo or something like that, is the the one channel, and they have tons and tons of videos up, even stuff dating back 15, 20 years ago. So everything's been copyrighted on YouTube now. So when these guys come on and cry and say, oh, I'm losing money, like Lars Ulrich with Metallica, those guys are the ones that started it with going after Napster. This was the slippery slope towards the police state. They don't like the fact that information is free and open to anyone on the internet. So they meaning the New World Order and these paid off officials in certain positions in government, go after it. And Obama, him and his administration certainly don't want.
Can't make you do it. You gotta look at the guy next to you. Look into his eyes. Now I think you're gonna see a guy who will go that inch with you. You're gonna see a guy who will sacrifice himself for this team because he knows when it comes down to it, you're gonna do the same for him. That's the team, gentlemen. And either we heal now as a team, or we will die as individuals.
Ideas are bulletproof.
Welcome to the show. This is Down the Rabbit Hole. I'm your host, Popeye, from federaljack.com. Today's June 15th, 2011. This is the Wednesday edition of Down the Rabbit Hole. It's been a pretty busy week, and things just keep getting crazier and crazier. New World Order seems to be ramping up their agenda.
The inches we need are everywhere around us. They're in every break of the game, every minute, every second. On this team, we fight for that inch. On this team, we tear ourselves and everyone else around us to pieces for that inch. We claw our fingernails for that inch. Because we know when we add up all those inches, that's going to make the fucking difference between winning and losing. Between living and dying. I'll tell you this, in any fight, it's the guy who's willing to die who's going to win that inch. And I know if I'm going to have any life anymore, it's because I'm still willing to fight and die for that inch. Because that's what living is. There's 6 inches in front of your face. Now either we heal as a team, or we're going to crumble. Inch by inch, play by play, till we're finished. We're in hell right now, gentlemen, believe me. And we can stay here, get the shit kicked out of us, or we can fight our way back into the light. We can climb out of hell. 1 inch at a time. When you get old in life, things get taken from you. I mean, that's part of life. But you only learn that when you start losing stuff. You find out life's this game of inches. So is football. Because in either game, life or football, the margin for error is so small. I mean, 1/2 a step too late or too early, and you don't quite make it. 1/2 second too slow, too fast, you don't quite catch it.